Very good. I think we're ready to go. We have some friends on the audience as well. So hi, everyone. Hi, Sebastian. Hi, Adrian. Hi, Mario. Thanks for being there. Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about SUSE Rancher and Kubernetes today. My name is Adrian Kosmaczewski. I'm in charge of developer relations at Vision, and I'm here today with my colleague, Arno Aukia, who's also founder and member of the board of Vision. At the bottom of this webinar window, you're going to see a Q&A button where you can click on it and you can ask questions. Arno and I will monitor these questions and we'll answer some of them at the end of the presentation. So please post your questions there as soon as you can think of them. Okay? Let's begin with just a few words about Vision and why we're giving this talk about SUSE Rancher. First of all, that's how you pronounce the name, Vision, and we're the DevOps company. We've been in Zurich since 2014. We are 49 Visioneers, and we are Switzerland's leading DevOps, Docker, and Kubernetes partner, offering 24/7 support for our customers. We got a few certifications as well, and most importantly, we were the first company in Switzerland to be certified, Kubernetes Certified Service Provider back in 2016. We also run our own platform as a service offering called Apuyo, and we've created our own suite of open source tools to manage lots of Kubernetes clusters from a central location called Project Syn. And we've developed our own Kubernetes operator for backups called KDUP, which, just like Project Syn, is 100% open source on GitHub and has been picked up by the Cloud Native Computing Foundation to be a sandbox project. So we're very proud of that as well. Of course, we are not only official partners, but we're also great fans of SUSE and Rancher, and they're very happy that they've chosen us to teach you and to tell you a little bit more about their great product, SUSE Rancher. So here's our agenda for today. First of all, we're going to start with a brief refresher of cloud-native technologies, in particular containers, just to make sure that everybody is on the same line. Then we will cover how enterprise Kubernetes adoption has evolved, the trends we're seeing in the field, and what we consider are the main needs in this space, in particular the need for enterprise-grade Kubernetes multi-cluster management. Next, we will discuss who are the target groups that would benefit the most from Kubernetes. And so that you get a good understanding of this technology, we will introduce SUSE Rancher's architecture and some of the main technologies around it. And finally, we will discuss some of the next steps, how we can work together, you, SUSE, and Vision, to help you with your journey of container and Kubernetes adoption. Before we dive into Kubernetes, let's level the playing field a bit. The whole reason we're here is because you are embarking on a journey into using containers for your applications or workloads. So let's start with the importance of containers. If you look around your room or your office, you're going to see that we're surrounded by technology. Everything from our laptops, phones, internet, everything, even our watches are probably connected to the cloud in one way or another. So it's safe to say that cloud is powering the modern connected economy, interlinking ecosystems across every industry and influencing everything from supply chains to data to customer experience. Today, the fastest growing businesses use these cloud ecosystems at the center of their products and services, helping them create value to their customers. And we're seeing that cloud transformations continue to be a top priority for IT decision makers. So what do these cloud-native solutions mean for an enterprise? Now that we've established modern companies are now part of a hyper-connected economy, how does this influence an organizational infrastructure strategy? Well, there are three main components that an enterprise looking to modernize with cloud-native solutions should look for. The first one is design. We are likely to see here enterprises making major changes across their infrastructure design, moving from monolith stacks to microservices and serverless architectures. Generally, this allows for speed and agility across the infrastructure in a world where change is permanent. The second big change is development style. Organizations pivoting towards a cloud-native strategy now place greater priority on their development style within their technical teams. That means that there is a hyper-focus on continuous customer feedback and push for rapid releases, forging a closer working relationship between developers and IT operation teams. They take a cloud-native approach to software development, which introduces organizational processes like continuous integration and continuous deployment and DevOps practices designed to help their teams operate with greater agility and efficiency. And the third change is infrastructure. We see a rapid uptake of cloud-native solutions with a specific focus around driving automation, scalability, portability, and predictability of their infrastructure deployments across the business. It also encourages decoupling infrastructure dependencies and implement automation of deployments, creating huge productivity savings for cloud-native IT teams. Introduction of containers and infrastructure as code become essential to help teams build effectively and deliver products and services more efficiently. Generally, we see that there is an interdependency between these three components, and quite often, companies who are moving to a cloud-native strategy have various projects addressing these components simultaneously. Cloud-native enterprises rely heavily around the use of containers, with Gartner predicting by 2022 more than 75% of global organizations will be running some sort of containerized applications in production. And containers are becoming a critical IT priority. The rising popularity of application containers is impressive. More than 60% of developers have used containers for software development in one way or another, and containers are a top priority for IT leaders, according to Forrester. That said, we are only at the beginning of a massive adoption of containers-based applications in the enterprise. Less than 10% of applications are currently containerized, with an expected growth of more than 50% in container adoption for new projects by the end of 2022, according to Forrester this time. Containers are on the rise and are here to stay. Now that we've got the basic understanding of how cloud-native services means for an organization, let's focus on what benefits cloud-native solutions provide for our customers. It's important to note that the cloud-native space is vast. It encompasses everything from containers, Kubernetes, to solutions like Rancher, Longhorn, and distributions like RKE and K3s. However, the intrinsic values of cloud-native solutions to customers remain the same for our customers. That is, first, they are designed to enable application teams to innovate faster and allow businesses to bring their world-class apps to market faster. Secondly, to help organizations achieve consistent, immutable operations, ensuring greater predictability, security, and reduction of costs. And finally, using solutions like containers and cloud-native tech to help disconnect applications from infrastructure dependencies and enable IT teams, it all maximizes their portability, the flexibility, and the scalability of the infrastructure. So let's start by understanding why Kubernetes is such a transformative technology. Simply put, Kubernetes enables a common compute platform across any infrastructure by automating the deployment, the scaling, and management of containerized applications. With Kubernetes, you can architect and build containerized applications that will run anywhere, on the laptop of the developer, on servers in your premises, in your own data center, in any public cloud, or even at the edge in a car, or as the US Army was doing, as the US Air Force was doing, putting directly Kubernetes clusters inside of their fighter jets. Kubernetes gives its users a consistent set of infrastructure capabilities on a minimal footprint, helping them scale their applications across any environments, providing load balancing, networking security policies, role-based access, backup and recovery, and much more, all across all of the platforms. For many users, technical arguments are interesting, but the bottom line will matter most to the business, right? So you want maximum performance at the lowest cost, and you're always searching for the intersection between value and impact. So the first organizational benefit is to increase the velocity. Kubernetes enables your business to adapt to changes in the environment, pushing out changes to your application as quickly as your teams can develop and test them. It makes it easy to design a system where changes go out without any downtime. Kubernetes is also finding a home in businesses of all kinds, including telecom and service providers, retail and manufacturing, content providers, banks, financial services, media, entertainment, government, and healthcare. All of these businesses have found out that Kubernetes makes their business more successful. Kubernetes is open source software, and in March of 2018, it became the second largest open source project after Linux itself. As of October 2018, it had 24,500 contributors across more than 100 companies. As long as your business is using the OSS version of Kubernetes from the Cloud Native Computing Foundation and not a feature-restricted fork, your project will never find themselves starving from a framework abandoned by its creators. And finally, Kubernetes maximizes your investment in infrastructure, whether on-premise or in the cloud. If you choose to run applications inside of a hosted Kubernetes environment, such as AWS, Google Cloud Platform, or Azure, you are already starting with a reduced footprint and benefiting from the cloud model of paying for what you use. The monitoring present in Kubernetes lets you pack applications to near maximum density, and if any application needs more resources, Kubernetes will automatically scale the resources on the underlying infrastructure up and down to meet your need. You're only paying for what you use, and it makes sure that you're using exactly the right amount at every given moment. But let's not forget the technical advantages of Kubernetes. If you're a developer or an operations engineer, you want stability, but you also want agility. So you're searching for a solution that automates human tasks while still following the instructions set by the humans that control it. Kubernetes integrates very well with deployment systems. It is driven by its API. So your CI/CD system can communicate with Kubernetes via its REST or CLI interfaces to carry out actions within the cluster on your behalf. You can build staging environments. You can automatically deploy new releases. You can perform stage rollouts with atomic versioning and easy rollbacks in the events of issues. You can tear down environments when they are no longer needed. And whether you use Jenkins, GitLab, Circle, Travis, or the CI/CD system of tomorrow, Kubernetes seamlessly integrates with it and guarantees that tasks will be executed the same way every time without human error. The second capability of Kubernetes is to be able to recover from failures. Kubernetes monitors the containers running within it and performs readiness and health checks via TCP, HTTP, or even by running a command within the container. Only healthy resources receive traffic, and those that fail health checks for too long will be restarted automatically by Kubernetes or moved to other nodes in the cluster. Gone are the days of ramping up server capacity in anticipation of a surge of traffic. To say it in a very colorful way, Kubernetes is ready for Oprah. It's ready for a viral news story. It's ready for your success. It scales by deploying more copies of the pods that run your application. Or it can allocate more host resources to applications where spawning more doesn't make sense. It can even scale the cluster size up if you deploy more resources than the cluster can safely handle, or down when those resources are no longer needed. And finally, Kubernetes turns a promise of cloud computing into a reality. You don't need to know, care, or pay attention to where resources are running. You can control scheduling if you wish, but Kubernetes makes everything available by default. It handles the internal wiring between pod replicas, the common IP addresses that load balances across them, and the external addresses that make those resources available to the world. It adds and removes the resources to keep applications available as the number of replicas grows upstreams, or as application failures occur. When you deploy a microservice-style application into a Kubernetes cluster, it builds and maintains all of the routing and communication paths for you, no matter which node your application is landing on. Do you recognize this diagram? Actually, we're very proud. We are on that diagram, and we are next to the Rancher logo. So bonus points for you if you can find it while I'm talking about this point. This diagram is the Cloud Native Computing Foundation landscape. And while it looks overwhelming, right, Kubernetes has become so popular in the last few years that it has created a massive landscape of complementary open source tools for you to choose from. Complexity and innovation within the ecosystem is expanding at an incredible pace. It presents many new opportunities for users to innovate, create and design solutions tailored to their infrastructure. Have you found the Vision logo? It's not very hard to find. It's at the bottom next to the funny image on the top, on the bottom right. If you go to the last row to the left, you're going to see the logo of Vision, and right on top, you're going to see the logo of Rancher. Generally, we see containers and Kubernetes being deployed in three major scenarios. First of all, building a new cloud native app, fast and scalable, most customer-facing to compete in the market. The second scenario is modernizing and scaling infrastructure efficiently. So using the best infrastructure for each use case. This work costs, the cost of running applications are optimized. Scalability and resiliency is designed in Kubernetes. And then re-architecting traditional monolith applications with containers, which help redesign parts or rehost parts of traditional applications that are too big or too complex to be replaced. But there's more. We see more use cases that are rapidly emerging. So for example, we have the distributed edge computing in manufacturing, retail, transportation, automotive, banking. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, the US Air Force running Kubernetes clusters in their fighter jets. Improved connectivity and device intelligence have expanded where applications can run, like elevators, wind turbines, drones, video surveillance cameras, cars, ships, trains. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, and analytics on bare metal infrastructure for greater performance compared to virtual machines. That you can do as well on Kubernetes. After years of heavy investment in data lakes, enterprises want to harness AI and ML to gather insights and predict rather than react to market inflections. So containers can help put these algorithms at work more efficiently. And finally, modernizing core business applications with APIs and microservices. So if you have a business line application that it's showing its age, you can probably put an API on top of it and use it in many new contexts, thanks to Kubernetes. Now, who actually benefits from Kubernetes? The whole reason we're here is because we are embarking on a journey into using containers for your applications or workloads. So understanding who benefits from it will help you define your organizational strategy. As their popularity grows and they become more strategic, many enterprises are trying to come to terms with which team should own their own containerization strategy. Is it the apps team themselves, emerging DevOps functions, traditional IT ops and enterprise architects, the guys in the cloud strategy, or the idea guys in the innovation groups? Or is it a mix of all of these teams? Take a moment to review who in your organization might benefit the most of what we've covered so far today. From our experience, it is usually IT operations and DevOps operation teams that have the best synergy around the use case of Kubernetes and the implementation of containerization strategy. Of course, Kubernetes management platforms like SUSE Rancher are dependent on containers and Kubernetes usage. So IT operations and DevOps teams are key contacts who will find value in a tool like this. On one side, IT ops teams are able to centrally provision Kubernetes services while maintaining control and visibility of all clusters, resources, and security. On the other side, the provision services are available in SUSE Rancher ecosystem to be used by DevOps teams, which leverage the SUSE Rancher ecosystem catalog. DevOps teams can then efficiently build, deploy, and manage fully featured containerized applications. The end result is IT ops gets what they need, DevOps get what they need, and your organization realizes the key benefits of a successful Kubernetes strategy. To summarize, regardless of what Kubernetes distribution and whatever management tool you choose, you should ensure that it supports any infrastructure, that it delivers a unified authentication, a simplified cluster operation, and it manages a multi-cluster application. And of course, that it addresses the needs of both developers and sysadmins. Throughout this session, we've mentioned the importance of a Kubernetes management platform to help you scale your containerized environments. One of the most popular tools across the cloud native market is SUSE Rancher. It's a completely 100% open source, community-backed, enterprise-ready Kubernetes management platform, helping you to orchestrate some of the complexities of the management of Kubernetes to help you scale. And in this section, we're going to see a couple of the major features that you should be aware of. So if you were to build a cloud-native infrastructure strategy, a Kubernetes management platform like SUSE Rancher would sit on top of your Kubernetes environments to help you implement user policies, operate, manage, provision, monitor, and deploy services across your environment. It provides benefits across all different teams, including application development teams, infrastructure teams, security, and general IT support. It should be a critical component of your Kubernetes strategy, acting as the orchestration platform for your entire cloud-native environment. There are many different Kubernetes management platforms across the market. However, as we covered earlier, Kubernetes can take form in many variations from on-prem to the cloud, at the edge, and utilizing different distributions and hosted across multiple or single clusters. There is a large scale to cover, and SUSE Rancher has the capabilities as a free solution to cover them all in an easy, simple, and scalable way. There are 4 key takeaways we like about SUSE Rancher's approach. First of all, SUSE Rancher is aware that we live in a multi-cluster world. SUSE Rancher has been a pioneer multi-cluster management for more than 4 years. With the release of OpenShift, ACM, and Tanzu, of course, we see the competition trying to catch up. We see the fact that Kubernetes distributions are commoditized. Increasingly, customers are realizing that the business value of Kubernetes isn't in the distribution itself. There are many Kubernetes distributions tailored for different use cases, including the popular cloud-hosted distributions, Amazon EKS, Microsoft AKS, Google JKE, and so on. SUSE Rancher has 3 distributions now: RKE for data center and hybrid cloud, RKE Government for government institutions, of course, and K3S, which is a very lightweight distro for edge computing and embedded and development. The argument that one vendor distribution is superior to others doesn't hold anymore, thanks to the Kubernetes standard. There is value in Kubernetes management. SUSE Rancher unites Kubernetes clusters with the centralized authentication and access control, enterprise security, auditing, backups, upgrades, observability, alerts, all of that provided for free out of the box. Deploy and secure cluster consistently in minutes anywhere using the intuitive UI or powerful CLI provided by Rancher. You can manage on-prem clusters and those on cloud services like AKS, EKS, or JKE that we just mentioned, all from the same single window. Centrally configure security policy, audit logs, monitor performance, deploy multi-cluster apps consistently from our app catalog, control access by connecting them to your internal identity provider like Active Directory, LDAP, Okta, you name it. SUSE Rancher supports tools that DevOps teams already love like Jenkins, GitLab, or Travis for building CI/CD pipelines, Prometheus and Grafana for observability, FluentD for logging, Istio for service mesh. SUSE Rancher allows direct enablement for the encryption provider and configuration of audit logging and rate limiting. Scan and assess cluster configurations against CIS benchmark best practices, and consistently deploy securely provisioned clusters using cluster templates across multiple substrates. This includes support for air-gapped environments. And finally, SUSE Rancher supports any cloud-native computing foundation certified Kubernetes distribution in any enterprise-grade operating system. We are talking Red Hat Enterprise Linux, SUSE Linux, Ubuntu, CentOS, and even Windows, and even on the x86 or ARM architectures. Rancher believes that customers should choose whatever technology stack is optimal for their use case. There are 2 key pillars of a successful Kubernetes everywhere strategy. The first one is using a certified Kubernetes distribution. The second one is centralized management. So what about the certified Kubernetes distribution? To enable compute everywhere, you need to deploy certified Kubernetes distributions everywhere you need compute: data center, cloud, desktop, branch, edge locations. And centralized management is important because you need to deploy a centralized management control plane that delivers 3 key capabilities. The first one is consistent cluster operations, so that IT ops teams can manage all of your certified Kubernetes distributions with a consistent interface, regardless of where it runs and regardless of who developed the application. Second, security policy and user management. That enables IT operations teams to automate processes and apply a consistent set of user access and security policies for all of your clusters, no matter where they are running. And third, shared tools and services. Any Kubernetes management platform needs to provide seamless access to DevOps tools and services, including app packaging, CI/CD, logging, monitoring, and service mesh. All businesses need to deliver a quality product. For that, they should be looking for a commercial provider who offers support contracts from vendors who have packaged up Kubernetes to make it simple to install and operate, and who can also jump in when you have an outage to help diagnose and recover, and here is the secret sauce, that do full stack support of the entire enterprise Kubernetes ecosystem of vendors delivering value. What you see here on the right side of this slide is certified integrations. That is technology that works with upstream Kubernetes with its default configurations, and that is natively supported by Rancher. And this is part of the great power of the Rancher ecosystem, is the support of so many different providers, tools, and technologies. Modern enterprises are diversifying their infrastructure stack, and they need a reliable and consistent Kubernetes management platform that consolidates and works across any environment. Enterprise organizations who utilize a multi-cloud environment no longer need to implement across every single environment. They can do it all from SUSE Rancher in one place. SUSE Rancher treats existing hosted clusters like first-class citizens. It doesn't matter if they were originally deployed elsewhere. They can be integrated into the SUSE Rancher platform and managed the same way as if they were deployed in your own infrastructure. However, starting a container and Kubernetes strategy can be challenging. Here are some questions to ask your team to help you decide if you are ready. So, do you have a use case for Kubernetes? Will it have an impact on services and products that are already in production? Which team should take the lead? Can you identify which technology solutions will work best in your infrastructure? Is the infrastructure team dialoguing and talking and collaborating with the development team? Do you require support from an external third-party supplier to help you scale? And so on. This is a very interesting set of questions that you should probably ask your teams before you start any Kubernetes implementation. So, of course, that prompts the question for you who have just watched this presentation: what are the next steps in your digital transformation? What are the next steps in your adoption of Kubernetes? Well, very simple. If I have piqued your curiosity today with this presentation, there are three very simple ways for you to know more. First of all, you can join the SUSE and Rancher community in community.suse.com. Very friendly people. They are going to ask all of your questions. You're going to find plenty of information for you to evaluate and get a better understanding of what is implied by using SUSE Rancher in your own environment. Then you can join the next Rancher rodeo. SUSE goes all around the world talking about Rancher, and you can see the upcoming SUSE Rancher rodeos on SUSE.com/events. Some of them happen sometimes even in Zurich, and we cross our fingers that we soon will be able to go back to in-person events like we used before. And finally, we are extremely happy to co-host with SUSE the Vision and SUSE DevOps workshop that you can book at vision.ch/en/SUSE Rancher. This workshop is a 4-hour workshop where Vision engineers with all the knowledge of having used SUSE Rancher in production will sit down with your team to assess all the requirements, understand your business, your needs, and then we will deliver you a proposed architectural landscape for you to work on to begin your transition and begin using SUSE Rancher. So please check it out. Get in contact with us, vision.ch/English/SUSE Rancher. So this is all that we had for you today. We would be very glad to answer a few of your questions now. If you have any, please use the Q&A box or the chat window. And in any case, we would like to thank you so much for attending. And if you have been watching this on our YouTube channel, vision.tv, thank you so much as well. Please subscribe, like, and share as usual. And if you have not yet subscribed to the vision.tv channel and you are interested in cloud native technologies, please be sure to subscribe as well. We publish very interesting stuff very, very often. So thank you so much. And yes, if you have any questions, I would be very glad to help you with that. So let's see a little bit what we have. Exactly, vision.tv. Very good. Here we have the Q&A box. There's one thing more. I'm gonna do a little bit like Steve Jobs used to do back in those days. And I have one more thing, as the Jobs would say. So I've created a very simple, very small Rancher installation for you to play with. I'm going to leave it running right now. Of course, it won't be available if you are watching this on YouTube, because this is available now. And I'm going to put the link on the chat window right now, so you can check it out. And it's right here. There you go. Now this is, I chose I'm going to send it to everyone. That's much better. There we go. So you should see it now on the chat window. It's called the Rancher demo. It's rancher-demo.eu.ngrok.io. And you can log in using the username and password that I'm going to type on the chat window right now. So username and of course, this is secret. You will never know what I just typed if you're watching this on YouTube. But if you're here right now today, and this is one of the benefits of being in this place and watching this webinar in this moment, you can go to this demo. It's a demo installation of Rancher running inside of my laptop. So I'm using K3s. This is the smallest possible Kubernetes cluster you can think of. It's running on my laptop. And on that Kubernetes cluster, I've installed Rancher. So I'm using two Rancher products, two SUSE products at the same time. I'm using SUSE Rancher on top of SUSE K3s, which is a great development platform for you software developers out there who want to build the next microservices-based killer app. You can use K3s. It's a great environment. So if you type, I'm going to log in with the same login, and I'm going to share the screen. So basically, this way, people who are watching this on YouTube can see my Chromium window. And here I have my Rancher. There we go. Here you can see my this Rancher installation. It is running locally on my laptop. I'm just exposing it using the ngrok reverse proxy service, which is very useful. And here you can see clusters. So you can add many, many more clusters. One of the great things about Rancher, for example, is that you can create new clusters from the user interface. So I can select, for example, to create clusters on Amazon EKS, it's the Elastic Kubernetes service, on the Azure Kubernetes service, or on the Google Kubernetes engine. With one click, fill the form, and boom, you've got a new cluster. Or, of course, if you already have an existing cluster somewhere, for example, in Exoscale or somewhere else, you can click on generic, you fill the form, and you will have a set of instructions for you to import that cluster inside of this interface. I'm not going to do that right now. There's a separate video on vision.tv that gives a very nice overview of all of the things that you can do with Rancher and K3s. We have videos for both, so check them out on vision.tv. And basically, if I click on the cluster called local, because it's the cluster where Rancher is installed, and you can log in and you can check it out. Basically, we can see a little bit of an idea of what's going on the cluster. I can see how many pods are running, how much memory I have available. Of course, I'm not doing anything right now on this cluster, so all of the memory is available. I can see lots of different things right here. Like, for example, I can go to the apps and marketplace, and I have plenty of applications to install with one click of a mouse and filling one form. That's all it takes. That's all it takes for me, for example, to run a new Nginx service mesh if I want, or a new, I don't know, what else could it be? A Prometheus and Grafana installation ready to use with all the dashboards provided in one click. So this gives us a very nice overview, for example, for storage. Of course, the only storage provided by K3s by default is the local path storage in the hard disk of my drive, but I have nothing else here to show. This is a very small installation with a couple of namespaces, and that's it. Of course, you are seeing this Rancher installation as a normal user. You are not an admin of this cluster by any means. So, of course, if you were an admin, you would be able to see lots of different things. And of course, your IT teams, they might know this. But I didn't want to overwhelm the experience of this first approach. For those of you who had never seen Rancher before, just keep it simple. It's just to give you an idea of the kind of things you can do with Rancher. You can manage many Kubernetes clusters on the same time. You can install applications. You can watch the cluster to see how well it is behaving, how much memory you have left, how much storage you have left. Should I add more storage? Should I add a few more nodes to my cluster? And so on and so forth. All of those things, you can see them live on Rancher. So that's something that we wanted to show you today because it's a very nice system. We use it all the time at Vision. We're very, very happy that you get to know it as well. And it's completely, absolutely free and open source. You can install it on any Kubernetes cluster using a Helm chart. Your technical teams will know what I'm talking about. Don't worry about that. Good. So that was a very quick, absolutely fantastically thin introduction to Rancher. I hope that you enjoyed it. I see that there are no questions, but there's one in the chat. We have one on the chat. Mario is asking, thank you so much, Mario, for the kind words. And did I get this right, that Rancher and OpenShift are somewhat similar, targeting the same challenges? Could you elaborate a little bit of this? Yes, of course, absolutely. So they clearly both provide Kubernetes-based experiences, right? And for enterprise users. What we've seen in the market, it's that usually Rancher is a preferred solution for medium-sized to bigger-sized companies, while usually OpenShift, for many reasons, demands a lot more resources. So you're going to see OpenShift more often in, let's put it this way, Fortune 500 companies. Rancher is as well present in Fortune 500 companies, but Rancher, given the open source nature, it's a very popular option for small and medium enterprises, of course. You can start for free. You can start managing your clusters for free. You can grow up from there. Of course, if you need more power, SUSE and, of course, ourselves at Vision, we can help you grow on top of Rancher as well. But they are in the same market. Of course, they are competitors, but they offer products that even so they are very similar. What we see in the market is a little bit a cleavage where much bigger companies usually prefer OpenShift, and on the other side, small, medium, and large companies prefer Rancher in any case. So this is basically what you will see. But they offer, of course, OpenShift as well offers many solutions. Rancher was the first to offer multi-cluster management. This was not possible in OpenShift until recently. So as I've said during the presentation, many other competitors are catching up now in terms of features. But of course, nobody can compete with the fact that this is an open source solution, free for all to use. You can install it and start playing with it like I just did. And I can tell you that literally installing Rancher in my laptop, it took no more than 2 minutes and it was already running and I was already ready to show it to you today. So I hope that answers your question. Thanks for the explanation. No problem. My pleasure. Maybe some other questions? Somebody would like to ask something else? Have you played with Rancher? So I hope you have. I hope you have. There's in the chat you will find the URL and the credentials. So feel free to play with it. As soon as the webinar is over, I'm going to shut it down. So too bad for those who are watching on YouTube. You miss the opportunity of using Rancher for free for a few minutes. Can we use Rancher as SaaS or Exoscale, for example? So you can use Rancher on Exoscale. Yes, definitely. So you create a Kubernetes cluster on Rancher, on Exoscale. It's too late already. I'm mixing the name. You can create your cluster on Exoscale, and you can use Rancher. You can run Rancher on top of it, or you can actually come here. You can create a cluster. So you can basically use existing nodes and create a cluster using RKE. RKE is the Rancher Kubernetes engine. It's a distribution of Kubernetes that is great for business purposes. So you click on this button and you fill all of the fields right here. So basically that means a little bit of security. How would otherwise this Rancher instance be able to build anything on your Exoscale account? Of course, you have to provide your credentials and so on and tokens. So yes, you can use, of course, and we regularly do. Actually, at Vision, we manage Exoscale clusters with Rancher as well. And this is totally normal. It's a normal procedure, of course. Another thing you can do within Rancher and Exoscale is, for example, using Rancher to manage the simple Kubernetes service provided by Exoscale. Exoscale provides as well a very nice managed Kubernetes service. So basically, it makes for a very nice thing that you can manage with Rancher from the outside, or where you can install Rancher inside and then use it as your base, your home base for managing all of your clusters. So yes, we can use it. Now, you're asking if we can use Rancher as a software as a service. To a certain degree, yes. For example, for your DevOps teams could be able, like in this case right here, well, I'm going to my cluster and I see the apps and marketplace. So this is kind of a very high level, very sophisticated SaaS where your teams could be able to automatically provision all of the systems that they need without having to go to the IT system. This is exactly what we were saying during the presentation. They don't need to go and fill the form. I would like to have a MySQL, MariaDB, Postgre. I don't know. We don't have the capacity. Maybe next week, maybe the next month. No. It's over. You click, you select, you get the name of the service that you want. You can even configure plenty of options. You hit a button and maybe the service can take a couple of minutes. So you go, you grab a cup of coffee. When you come back, your service is running, ready to use. So in that sense, it is software as a service, of course, and it's a great option for development teams because this way they can build a new application. They can trigger, say, okay, we need Redis, we need Elasticsearch, I need PostgreSQL, and let's put everything together for this prototype. And in 2 or 3 hours, you've got a very nice MVP that might be the next killer thing on the internet. So clearly, these kind of capabilities work a little bit like a SaaS, if you want. It's a software as a service, but for internal teams, of course, for developer teams. So I don't know if that answers your question, I hope. And Arno as well has added here a very nice comment, which is that you can get Rancher as SaaS from Vision on Exoscale. So if you're a Vision customer, you can actually get Rancher as a software as a service on Exoscale. So there you go. Everything is possible in that respect. Marco is asking, so I can install Rancher in server, then deploy in multiple cloud providers or our Vision on Exoscale? I don't think I understood the question.
So I assume that Marco is asking whether you can manage multiple different cloud providers from one Rancher installation, and the answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
You only need one Rancher installation that you can have running on Exoscale, for example. Either you take care of it yourself, or we can take care of it for you, and then you can manage all your Kubernetes cluster wherever they are in the world from that one control plane, like Adrian just showed you with one example cluster, but you can have a whole list of clusters where you basically have all your clusters in there.
Excellent. Thanks, Arno. I hope that replied to your question, Marco. Maybe some other questions, something else you would like to see. I hope you're clicking. I see my laptop. I hear my laptop fan going up. So I suppose that people are connecting right now. Aha, there you go. That's really cool. So yeah, well, that's everything we have for you today. Remember, you can always contact us on, I will put back again the contact information right here, just one last time. Please don't hesitate to contact SUSE or Vision or both. We can help you with your installation of Rancher and the management and the setup, and of course, to give you all of the information that you need to use this fantastic product. And thank you so much for attending. Thanks, Arno, for the help. And thanks all of you for participating live and for being here. And if you're watching this on vision.tv, thank you so much again for your time. And I hope this was interesting. Thank you so much, everybody. And see you next time. Bye-bye.